Some voices become more than music. They become memories. They remind us of important moments in our lives, bringing back emotions we thought we'd forgotten. For millions of people around the world, Celine Dion's voice has done exactly that. Over the course of her incredible career, she sold more than 240 million records, won 5 Grammy Awards, and became one of the most successful singers in music history. From unforgettable Las Vegas performances to worldwide chart-topping hits, she seemed unstoppable. Songs like My Heart Will Go On turned her into a global icon and inspired generations of fans. But behind the success was a very different reality. For many years, Celine quietly struggled with mysterious health problems that no one could explain. She began experiencing painful muscle spasms, stiffness throughout her body, and increasing difficulty controlling the voice that had made her famous. At first, these problems seemed temporary. She blamed exhaustion, long tour, and the physical demands of performing. Even her doctors couldn't immediately understand what was happening. As the years passed, the symptoms became harder to ignore. Concerts were postponed, tours were canceled, fans were told she had the flu, vocal issues, or needed more rest. Those explanations weren't meant to mislead anyone, they were simply the only answers available while she searched for the truth herself. Imagine spending your entire life perfecting one extraordinary gift, only to watch it slowly slip beyond your control without knowing why. That became Celine's reality. The uncertainty lasted for years. Every performance required enormous determination. Every appearance came with fear that her body might not cooperate. Still, she kept going because music had always been the center of her life. That love for music didn't begin on the world's biggest stages. It started in a small Canadian town, inside a crowded family home where money was limited, but songs were everywhere. Celine Marie-Claude Dion was born on March 30, 1968, in Charlemagne, Quebec. She was the youngest of 14 children in a close-knit family that shared a deep passion for music. Her parents worked hard to provide for such a large household, and although life wasn't always easy, their home was filled with singing almost every day. Music wasn't just entertainment, it was part of everyday life. Her brothers and sisters performed together at local gatherings, and Celine grew up surrounded by melodies from the moment she could remember. Before long, it became clear that her voice was something truly special. At just 12 years old, Celine and her mother wrote a song together and recorded it on a simple cassette tape. They sent that recording to music manager René Angelil, hoping he might listen. When René heard the tape, he was deeply moved. He believed he had discovered an extraordinary talent. His confidence in the young singer was so strong that he reportedly mortgaged his own home to help finance her first album. It was a remarkable gamble, but one that would change music history forever. That decision marked the beginning of an extraordinary partnership. Celine's early albums made her a star in French-speaking Canada, but René believed her talent could reach far beyond Quebec. Step by step, he carefully guided her career toward the international stage, preparing her for a future that neither of them could have fully imagined. Before long, the young girl from a small Canadian town was on the path to becoming one of the biggest voices the world had ever heard. As Celine's career continued to grow, every step seemed carefully planned. René Angelil wasn't just her manager, he believed in her talent with complete confidence. He worked tirelessly behind the scenes, helping transform a young French-Canadian singer into an international superstar. One major turning point came in 1988 when Celine represented Switzerland in the Eurovision Song Contest. Although she wasn't representing her home country, the competition introduced her to millions of new listeners across Europe. Her victory proved she had the talent to compete on the world's biggest stages. After that success, the focus shifted toward the English-language music market. Learning to perform confidently in English wasn't easy, but Celine embraced the challenge. She spent countless hours improving her pronunciation, working with vocal coaches, and preparing for an entirely new audience. The hard work paid off. Her English albums quickly gained attention, and with every release, her popularity grew. Songs like The Power of Love, Think Twice, and Because You Loved Me became international hits, earning her millions of fans around the world. Then came the moment that changed everything. In 1997, James Cameron's film Titanic arrived in theaters. As the emotional story reached its unforgettable ending, audiences heard Celine Dion sing My Heart Will Go On. The song became a worldwide phenomenon. It dominated radio stations, topped music charts in country after country, and earned some of the biggest awards in the music industry. Even people who had never seen the movie recognized the song within seconds. It became one of the defining songs of an entire generation. With that success, Celine entered a completely different level of fame. She wasn't simply a popular singer anymore. She had become one of the biggest recording artists in history, while her professional life was reaching incredible heights. Another important story was unfolding behind the scenes. Over the years, the relationship between Celine and René Angélil had grown beyond music. What began as a professional partnership eventually became a personal one. When they publicly announced their relationship in the early 1990s, it attracted enormous attention because of their age difference and the fact that René had managed her career since she was a child. The public debated their relationship for years. Both Celine and René consistently explained that their romance began only after she was an adult. Despite the criticism, they remained committed to one another and chose to focus on their life together rather than public opinion. In December 1994, they were married in Montreal in a spectacular ceremony watched by fans around the world. As the years passed, they built a family together. After facing challenges with fertility treatments, they welcomed their first son, René Charles. Years later, twin boys Nelson and Eddie completed their family. To Celine, motherhood became just as important as her career. No matter how busy her schedule became, she often spoke about wanting to balance performing with raising her children. Family always remained at the center of her life, but happiness doesn't protect anyone from heartbreak. In the years that followed, René was diagnosed with throat cancer. He fought the disease with incredible determination, and for a time there was hope. Sadly, the illness returned. On January 14th, 2016, René Angélil passed away with Celine by his side. The loss was devastating. As if that grief weren't enough, only 2 days later, Celine's brother Daniel also passed away after battling cancer. Losing two beloved family members within just 48 hours was almost impossible to comprehend. Despite the overwhelming pain, Celine eventually returned to the stage. She later explained that continuing to perform helped her stay strong for her children and honor the man who had believed in her talent from the very beginning. The audience saw a woman returning to work after unimaginable loss. What no one realized was that another battle had already begun, one that had been quietly developing inside her body for years. Celine Dion believed the strange symptoms she was experiencing would eventually disappear. At first, they seemed minor. A sudden muscle spasm. An unusual stiffness. Moments when parts of her body simply didn't feel normal because she spent so much time performing, rehearsing, and traveling. It was easy to assume her body was simply exhausted. After all, few artists worked harder than Celine. Night after night she delivered powerful live performances that demanded incredible control over both her voice and her body. But these symptoms were different. Rest didn't solve the problem. The stiffness kept returning. The muscle spasms became stronger. Eventually, even singing something that had always come naturally began to feel unpredictable. Her voice would sometimes refuse to cooperate. Certain notes became difficult to control. Some days her muscles tightened so much that even simple movements became uncomfortable. Still, no one knew the cause. Doctors searched for answers, but the condition remained a mystery. As the years passed, Celine found herself canceling more performances. Fans were disappointed, but she always hoped she would recover quickly and return to the stage. Public statements often mentioned colds, fatigue, or vocal strain. Those explanations weren't created to deceive people. They reflected the uncertainty surrounding her condition. Without a diagnosis, there simply wasn't another explanation to give. Behind closed doors, however, life had become increasingly difficult. Every rehearsal carried uncertainty. Every scheduled concert came with questions. Would her body cooperate? Would the pain return? Would she be able to finish the performance? The pressure became overwhelming. Music had always been her greatest joy, yet now it was also becoming her greatest challenge. Then the world changed. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic brought concerts across the globe to a halt. Like countless other performers, Celine's tour plans were interrupted, but unlike many artists, the pandemic wasn't the biggest obstacle she faced. While live entertainment paused, her symptoms continued to worsen. The muscle stiffness became more severe. The spasms became more frequent. The disease continued progressing. Even while the world stood still, after years of uncertainty, doctors finally reached an answer. Receiving a diagnosis finally gave Celine Dion an answer, but it didn't make life easier. Every day became a careful balance between treatment, rest, and hope. There was no quick recovery. No miracle cure. Instead, she faced a long and demanding routine designed to manage a disease that could change from one day to the next. Her treatment included medication to reduce muscle spasms, physical therapy to help maintain movement, and regular medical care aimed at controlling the symptoms. Progress was often slow, and every small improvement required patience. Simple activities that many people take for granted could suddenly become difficult. Walking, standing, even speaking for long periods. The illness affected far more than her ability to perform. It changed everyday life. Despite these challenges, Celine refused to disappear from the public eye completely. She wanted her fans to understand what she was going through, not to seek sympathy, but to raise awareness about a condition that very few people had ever heard of. That decision eventually led to one of the most personal projects of her career. In 2024, she released the documentary I Am, Celine Dion. Rather than focusing only on her music and achievements, the film gave viewers an honest look at her daily battle with stiff person syndrome. It showed both the emotional and physical challenges she faced. Behind closed doors, there were moments of hope, moments of frustration, and moments that were incredibly difficult to watch. One of the documentary's most emotional scenes showed Celine experiencing a severe muscle spasm during a rehearsal. Medical staff rushed to help as her body became painfully rigid. The scene wasn't included for shock value. She chose to share it because she wanted people to understand the true reality of living with the disease. Many viewers had never seen anything like it. The documentary reminded audiences that serious illnesses are often invisible. People may appear strong in public while fighting battles no one else can see. After the film was released, fans around the world praised Celine for her honesty and courage. Many said they had gained a completely new understanding of what she had been experiencing over the previous several years. Instead of hiding her condition, she had chosen to educate millions of people. That decision inspired countless individuals living with chronic illnesses to share their own stories. Although treatment continued, Celine never stopped thinking about music. She often spoke about missing the stage. She missed the connection with her audience. She missed hearing thousands of voices singing along. Most of all, she missed doing what she had loved since childhood. Even during difficult days, she continued working with doctors and therapists, hoping that one day she might be able to perform again. No one could promise that day would come, but Celine wasn't ready to give up. For someone who had spent more than 4 decades sharing music with the world, hope remained stronger than fear, and before long, fans would witness a moment that few believed was possible. As months passed, Celine Dion continued focusing on her recovery. Every improvement, no matter how small, became another step forward. She shared occasional updates with fans, letting them know she was staying positive and working closely with her medical team. While she understood that her condition had no known cure, she remained determined to make the most of every good day. Then came a moment that touched millions of people around the world. In July 2024, the opening ceremony of the Paris Olympic Games captured the attention of a global audience. The celebration featured music, culture, and performances unlike any previous Olympic ceremony. As the event reached its emotional finale, a familiar figure appeared. Standing near the Eiffel Tower was Celine Dion. For many viewers, it was completely unexpected. After years away from live performances, simply seeing her on stage again was emotional. As she began to sing, audiences around the world watched in silence. It wasn't just another performance. It represented determination, resilience, and an artist refusing to let illness define her. Future. Fans flooded social media with emotional reactions. Many said they had tears in their eyes. Others described it as one of the most inspiring moments of the entire ceremony. The performance reminded everyone why Celine's voice had touched so many lives for decades. Although she had faced extraordinary challenges, her passion for music remained unchanged. The appearance also gave hope to countless fans who had wondered if they would ever see her perform again. Not long afterward, Celine shared even more encouraging news. In a heartfelt message released around her birthday, she thanked fans for standing beside her throughout her health journey. She spoke about feeling stronger, continuing her treatment, and looking forward to returning to the stage. Her announcement was welcomed with excitement across the world. For fans who had supported her through every high and low, it felt like a new chapter was beginning. It wasn't simply about concerts. It was about perseverance. It was about refusing to give up after years of uncertainty. Throughout her career, Celine had inspired people through her music. Now, she was inspiring them through her courage. Her story had become larger than awards, record sales, or sold-out arenas. It had become a reminder that life's greatest challenges can test even the strongest people, but they don't have to define them. While the future remained uncertain, one thing had become clear: Celine Dion was determined to keep moving forward, one step at a time. And millions of fans around the world were ready to support her every step of the way.